Welcome to Trek Trav, I'm Trav, and this is your Star Trek Strange New Worlds Series 3, Episode 9, Terrarium. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're new here, I do Star Trek content, so just maybe put a like. Let's get into the review. There is spoilers. Once again, going into the episode, I had no idea what this is about. I hadn't seen any stills from it. We hadn't seen any information from it. So it was genuinely like, what the fuck is this about? The crew of the Enterprise is exploring an anomaly. A wormhole opens up. And they are sending Ortega's into the anomaly to do some studies. She is the best pilot. She goes. She's on the shuttle. In the anomaly, a wormhole opens up, and we are given a shot of a random planet with asteroids and lots of moons, and Ortega's crashed on the surface. There's two stories in this. One is Uhura's obsession with saving Ortega's. Uhura gets progressively... It's interesting that they've double banked this episode, because this is, to be honest, our first Ortega-centric episode, I think, of the series. One where it focuses on her emotionally and how she's dealing with things. Now, Uhura is dealing with losing Ortega's. They're best friends. You can see that throughout the series, that they talk to each other, they handle things. Ortega's lands on the planet. And as much as it's a strange new world, it is just a lot of rocks on a lot of dirt, which I was disappointed by. I'm like, you're literally called Strange New Worlds. Give us something other than rocks and dirt. She lands on the planet. There's a really interesting moment where she's in the shuttle. She's working out what she needs to do to survive. She's working out what she needs to have. She builds a water, I want to say, creator. It pulls water from the air. I can't remember what the exact word is, but she creates this machine. So she's remembering her training. Her ration packs are all destroyed. She goes in for, I've got to make water, now I've got to find food. And so with finding food, obviously, she has to go on a bit of a walk. She leaves the planet. There's not much there. She can't see anything. It's all weird. We do get a flash of light in the sky, of which Ortega's notices, but she doesn't mention. And she sees a light in the distance, of which she heads towards. And when she gets there, she sees an assortment of alien things. It's a shelter. She's like, what the hell is going on? And guess what? She's trapped on this planet with a Gorn. The Gorn saves her from some weird alien buggy things, which I really liked. I liked that thing. The Gorn is... I want to say they put... maybe because this episode was... sort of Gorn-centric, they put a little bit more effort into the animatronics in the Gorn's head, because this Gorn looked a little bit more like the Gorn from the original series, a little bit more realistic, and they used CGI to sort of help the animatronics move, so it was much more expressive. And I genuinely like, it's wearing a cloak, it's injured, it's limping. It genuinely looks really good, because there's been a couple of times where we've seen the Gorn and it looks kind of dodgy. Uhura's back on the Enterprise. She's coming up with a plan to try and communicate. It's not working. Every plan she comes up with is not working. And you see her getting more emotional. The whole crew wants to save Ortega's, but Uhura's sort of taking it to, I suppose she considers her more family, so she needs to save her. No matter what, she needs to get there. Pike and the Enterprise itself has a mission to take a vaccine to a planet. They have a limited amount of time to meet their rendezvous with another ship, and they've got a limited time to save Ortega's. So once Ortega's meets the Gorn, she's freaked out. She's like, what the hell is going on? She's going to die. She panics, because obviously she's dealt with the Gorn before. They removed half of her hand and stabbed her through her chest. So she's got some level of trauma, and this Gorn sort of is patient with her and calm with her, and eventually sort of kills some of these worm things, so they have something to eat, offering some food. And Ortega's is talking to herself the whole time. She's sort of narrating her thoughts, which is good. I don't mind that. We see a few more flashes of light in the sky. Ortega's is trying to work out what's going on. We find out the planet has an orbit of which takes it through. Hello, kitty cat. takes us through the planet's atmosphere because they're on a moon, and they will die. Like, they have no choice in it. Ortega's is trying everything to get a signal out. She's using it. She's trying to get more food. She needs to cook the food. She ends up causing a catastrophe of which destroys her communication device. She doesn't know how to fix it. The Gorn ends up getting bitten by one of those little creatures again and is wounded in the leg. And we find out that the Gorn, through a translator of which Ortega's built it, the Gorn, if sent back, would be killed because it's weak. Ortega's actually makes this through their observations of the Gorn from previous episodes. When they saw a ship was weaker, the bigger Gorn ship destroyed it. And that was it's a good observation. And the one thing about this episode, it really nails Ortega's observations and her smarts and her ability to think ahead. Now, Uhura does something in this episode. She does something, I want to say, you would do, but you're probably getting more trouble for. Uhura fudges the data. She says that if we fly the Enterprise in, we can get a signal through and we can find out where Ortega's is. They're literally going to lodge themselves inside this wormhole. Now, Uhura, Pike pretty much says the percentage has to be above 60%. And Uhura adjusts the figures so that they're over 60%. Now, why the hell would you have built into your Starship computers and pads the ability to alter data? It's a really odd thing, because obviously it's a scientific thing, everyone has access to it. So you're telling me they've built into this system that if they want to bullshit about the data, they can? Why would you build in a fake news process? We should have learned something after the current time. Besides that was a little annoying. But she gives the information, and Pike and they go along with it. Spock sort of backs her up. And I genuinely love that she feels something. She feels guilty about it instantly. She doesn't want to lie. She doesn't want to feel bad about disobeying her captain, but she wants to save her friend. And I loved that. Now, Ortega's is on the planet. They have gone through a storm. They've been through a storm. They've had a shield. Now they need to get the attention of someone, just anyone, Gorn anyone. So Ortega's comes up with a plan of using the impulse engine from the Gorn ship, which is conveniently behind this tent, and igniting the atmosphere of the planet so that Enterprise or anyone who's coming through would pick it up. Now, I do like the idea. I think that the engine being there is a bit convenient. It's like, well, how do we solve this problem? So we've seen through this that Ortega's builds a bond with this Gorn. So she starts playing chess with the Gorn, then the Gorn teaches her a game. They start answering through a translator that says agreed, disagreed, and there's some really fun moments of banter between these two very different people. And I genuinely loved this whole dynamic. Now, is it similar to Arena? In part. She builds this relationship with the Gorn. They ignite the atmosphere, hide inside some insulation from the Gorn ship, and they are picked up by the Enterprise. La'an beams down with the security party, and they see the Gorn, and they shoot it. And Ortega's being through what she's been through with this Gorn, screams and says no, and it's horrible. And La'an, being La'an, she sees a Gorn, she shoots it. Was she right? No, but at the same time, she didn't know what the circumstances were. She probably thought that Ortega's was being hit. So I understand that. Ortega's has a bit of an anger at La'an. Now, we do discover in this moment, which is interesting, that the light that we've been seeing in the sky above this planet is the Metrols, of whom are from Star Trek the original series in Arena, of whom pitted Kirk and Spock together. They talk about how they got interesting data. They talk about how they might have to change how humans perceive the Gorn. I'm sensing maybe erasing some memories. They talk about how they need to do more experiments to find out what motivates these two species. So, and it's all done in like this paused time effect, and Ortega's doesn't remember. So we as an audience see it, but Ortega's doesn't, which is fine. I do like a little bit of canon retconning, but at the same time, it feels a little bit like, look, if you change the timeline and now you're just like, oh, we might alter their memory a bit. But this brings me to the whole crew rallying after Ortega's seems really, really legit to me. Uhura's relationship with Ortega's is a very close bond, so I get that. I loved Nevaeh has to be commended on her performance as Ortega's. There's scenes where she's just next to a rubber Gorn suit, and she is handling every scene with emotion, strength, really well. Uhura handling the stress of wanting to save her friend but knowing time is running out. Pike and obviously Una are more professional, and Uhura is less professional because she's a younger officer. There's a lot in this episode that is really good. It's genuinely surprising. When the Gorn died, and I'll say this, I got a frog in my throat. I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. Like I genuinely felt for this rubber monster, which is very rare, and I genuinely felt for Ortega's, and I genuinely was like, this is really surprising. It's a really great episode. It's honestly, it's up there in the top of this season, and I'm glad that the last episode and this episode are so damn good, and I really hope they nail the finale. Because season 3 I would argue that most of season 3 hasn't been good as season 2, but these last 2 episodes have been surprisingly good. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you next time on Trek Trav with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the season 3 finale. I can't remember what it's called.